an idea. I've been conducting an experiment. I thought if I gouged out part of my eyeball that it would still work okay. How stupid have I been? I should have listened to this.
Venom Fang X, 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 Shawn.
Oh God, please help me. Please grant me a new eyeball. Oh, he has. Miracle. As I said, this is a response to Venom Fang X's latest video. But before we move on to the subject of eyeballs, you know, a ground that Shawn has covered many times, and he's covered it again in this video, is this whole idea of the first cause. I'm not going to go through it all again. Shawn's made this video before. I myself have replied to this video before. All I'm going to say is it boils down to this same thing. You're talking about cause and effect contingency, and yet you're talking about that outside of time. You're talking about that before time began. It doesn't make any sense to even talk about it in that sense before time began. The idea of causality, which is a temporal process without time, is a nonsense, Shawn. I'd really like you to explain it to me, how you feel you can talk about causality before time, outside of time, without time, sans time. The eye thing. Right, okay. My eyes are working now. Perhaps it was a bad experiment. I should have took your advice, Shawn. I shouldn't have gouged part of my eye out. But the question Shawn's asked really is, how did the eye evolve? Now, what Shawn could have done, he could have Googled for the answer, but he couldn't be bothered to Google for the answer. I'm sure plenty of people watch his video similarly will not Google for the answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run Shawn through it. I have here a very primitive creature. Let's assume this is a very primitive creature. And these are just eye spots. They're just patches of photosensitive cells. How can this work as an eye? Well, let's have a go here. Let's see what we can do. We're in the water. This creature's swimming in the water. As you can see at the moment, it can't see the light. It can only see dark. So it's going to assume one of two things. It's either night time or it's oriented downwards. If we turn the creature around, now it can see the light. Okay, so it knows it's oriented upwards. Oh, it's daytime. It's gaining information all the time. This eye is very useful. As it goes higher up the water, the light gets brighter. So it knows where it is in the water. I'm sure everybody could agree. You don't need to be an atheist or believe in evolution to see that that's useful. Let's amend the eye. Let's build up a ridge around the eye. Let's depress the eye slightly. We would end up with an eye something like this. Let's assume the photosensitive cells are now on this slice of tennis ball. How would this work? Well, let's put our sun back here and let's see what happens. You see? Can you see what's happening with our sun? Let me just get this so we can see a little bit better. We get the light in there. Right. So let's see what's happening now. We can now tell again whether we're facing the sun or whether we're not. But look at it. We're much more directional now. Rather than having that full 180 degree span, we can now see a much greater focus to where the light's coming from. That could be very useful in navigating. Let's go a stage further. All we've done is built the ridges up further, and around the sides we've got all these photosensitive cells. This wouldn't really class as an eyeball. It's just a load of photosensitive cells in a cup. So what difference is that going to make? Well, I want you to look very carefully at what you can see. Okay, now I don't know if you can see what's happening here, but what we actually now have is part of the cup in light and part of the cup in shadow. As I move the cup, can you see what happens? Can you see the shadow front moving? We can actually tell exactly where the light is coming from by where that shadow front falls. We're really gaining some information here. If we move the light above, look what happens. It's very difficult to keep the light on track here because this is from a spot source, but you can see what's happening. See what an advantage this is. What is this? It's half an eye. How many times do you hear creationists say, what use is half an eye? Half an eye is absolutely fantastic. It gives us a fantastic amount of directional information from where the shadow falls, from which photosensitive cells are illuminated and which ones aren't. That's really useful. If you continue this cup round, you'll end up with a small hole in it. You'll end up with a Nautilus eye, which is a disadvantage in that you need quite a lot of light to illuminate it. But what you end up with is an image. It's like a pinhole camera. You end up with an image on the back. We've now gone virtually all the way. All we now need is a lens. How do we make a lens? A lens is a piece of flesh that allows light to pass through it effectively, and because of the shape of the lens, it focuses the light. It turns out that even if you don't have a shaped lens, even if you just had a flat lens, even if you just had a piece of transparent skin covering the front of it, that still helps to develop the image better from where you had your pinhole camera. So I'm sure you can imagine that once you've got that skin covering, you can then start to make the hole slightly bigger on the pinhole camera, and then you can alter the lens slightly, and then you can make the pinhole camera slightly bigger, and before you know it, you've got the kind of eye that we've got now. You've gone all the way. You've done all the steps. You've gone from the basic eye to the kind of eye that we have now. I hope that helps you out there, Shawn, with that little run through on eyes. Third thing Shawn talked about, and this is where his misinformation campaign really kicks in. You do make some real misinformation videos, Shawn, don't you? He talks about tribes. He talks about how come, if God doesn't exist, people all around the world in these little tribes all worship God. The problem is that they don't. In fact, if Shawn would care to refer to his 10 Commandments, I'm sure Shawn is familiar with the 10 Commandments. I hoped he is, though look at this video, it would seem that perhaps he isn't. He'll find that in the actual fact that these people are worshipping false idols. They're going against the 10 Commandments. The God they worship isn't the God that you worship, Shawn. They're worshipping serpent gods, wolf gods, snake gods, gods of the seasons, gods of the forest, gods of the skies. This isn't the God that you worship. This isn't the theism you have. This isn't your religion. It doesn't even bear a passing resemblance to it. It could well be that there is an evolutionary advantage to having a belief in the supernatural. Could be that there's a kind of a bonding environment to some kind of superstitious belief, to some kind of religious belief. There may be an evolutionary advantage in simple society, in bonding them together in some kind of cohesion, with some kind of innate tendency towards religiosity. I'm not denying that, but that doesn't show that your God exists. These people are not worshipping your God. This is just a total piece of misinformation that you're putting out here. You're trying to confuse people between talking about God, as in your God, as in Yahweh, as in the Abrahamic monotheistic God of the Bible, with the concept of gods, deities generally. That's misinformation, Shawn, and you know that. Anyway, I hope I've enlightened you somewhat on eyes, now eyes could evolve, and why gouging a piece of an eye out is totally different to how an eye would have evolved. And we can see how an eye would have evolved, and then we can see how, even though slicing my eye in half now isn't going to do me a lot of favours, how a period in evolution, half an eye was really very, very useful indeed.